Former President Donald Trump has put himself right in the middle of Governor Greg Abbott's battle with the White House over border security. On Thursday, Trump asked for all willing governors to send their National Guard troops to help send migrants back across the border. It comes as Governor Greg Abbott and the White House continue fighting over razor wire along the border in Eagle Pass. The Supreme Court has ordered the wire's removal, but Texas troops are still putting it up. Governor Abbott is standing firm against the Supreme Court ruling, criticizing President Joe Biden for not enforcing immigration laws.
Mitch McConnell, I thought that was shameful, what was reported out, that he's just completely rolling over and capitulating. Don't even get me started with the weakness of the current Speaker of the House. I mean, they don't want a deal, period, full stop. They don't want a deal. They don't want to make this a quote-unquote campaign win for Joe Biden. It's just everything you need to know about the fraud that they're perpetuating on the issue of the border. They want to make this a political issue. Consistently, they have wanted to make it ever since there were a few brave souls with that Gang of Eight. If we all remember those black and white movie days.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember that.
And ever since there, everyone, they just walk away. They run away. The first day he was in office, not the next day, the same day he gets sworn in, he puts out a comprehensive immigration plan. That was, and yet you didn't have a counter. They had no strategy in terms of the Republican Party, even combating that. They just wanted to kill it. They didn't want to debate it. They didn't want to engage. $14 billion proposal, $14 billion. That's his latest proposal to address their stated issue of border security.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the new psyop from the mainstream liberal media involving the border crisis and the current negotiations between Republicans and Democrats in the Senate in regards to a new border security bill, which really, in my opinion, is just an amnesty bill, okay? It is not a bill to secure the border. We went over some of the alleged provisions in the bill, which nobody really knows what's in the bill because there's no real text for the bill yet. Nobody's had time to read the bill. And when the bill is finally crafted, nobody will have time to read it because that's typically how politics works, okay? This is supposed to be a massive bill to secure the border, to fund Ukraine, and to fund Israel, okay? We're talking about $100 billion that politicians want to spend, mostly to send money overseas and less so to secure the border because, again, apparently this bill grants more expanded pathways to citizenship, aka amnesty, for illegals already living here. There are no mass deportations, okay? And it also allows 5,000 illegals to come into the country per day, okay? That is well over 1 million illegals coming in per year that is allowed by this bill, but yet they're trying to tell us that, hey, this secures the border, right? 5,000 illegals a day is not securing the border, right? That's not a secure border, okay? But what they're trying to do is run this psyop and say that, well, it's Trump's fault that the border is not being secure because Trump's sabotaging the negotiations in the Senate, right? He's making Republicans pull out of the bill because Trump is saying that, hey, this bill is not good enough, right? We need to go with the bill that the Republicans passed, the Secure the Border Act, that actually would help solve the problem and secure the border, mainly by taking away the incentive to come here in the first place, which are rooted in the asylum loopholes that the Biden administration is taking advantage of to just allow anybody to come to the border and say, hey, I'm seeking asylum, let me in, right? That's essentially what's happening. That's why all these people are coming. Yeah, the Republican Secure the Border Act, which is what hardline Republicans want, is what we need, right? And anything less than that is a failure. But despite all that, again, you have the mainstream liberal media running propaganda, and you have some GOP senators and congressmen going along with this, claiming that it's Trump's fault that they are compromising, they're folding to Democrats when it comes to securing the border. Take a look.
I hope no one is trying to take this away for campaign purposes.
Some Republicans backing a Senate border deal are expressing frustration. That's after former President Donald Trump urged his party to reject it.
I don't doubt that he wants a perfect deal. So do I on it. But we've got to be able to figure out how to be able to do something right now.
Trump says passage would let Democrats share the political win.
I just reject the idea that we should reserve a crisis for a better time to solve it.
Hardline House Republicans already say they don't want to compromise. New obstacles mean the bumpy path to a deal might be at a dead end.
They're saying, hey, to protect President Trump, we need to make sure we don't vote on this.
Polls show immigration is the top issue for GOP voters. Now a border bill might not be possible this year. It could take even longer if Republicans don't win total control of the government and still won't compromise. That is, unless Democrats meet all their demands. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott says he's fed up. He's ordering further deployment of razor wire along parts of the Rio Grande. That's despite a Supreme Court ruling that lets border control take it down. Abbott cites a constitutional right to rally troops during invasions.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. Okay, now I want you guys to understand how stupid these people think that you are, right? They want you to believe that Trump doesn't want to secure the border so that Biden can't get the political win. Well, here's the problem. This bill does not secure the border, and it would give Biden the political win. He can run around and claim that he secured the border, even though the border's not secure, right? And when you have the illegals still pouring into the country, 5,000 per day, thanks to this bill, well, guess what? The Democrats going to turn around and say, well, hey, we did our part. Okay, we allowed the illegals to have amnesty and to stay here and to expand their pathways to citizenship. We did what our progressives wanted us to do. And then guess what? When it comes to the illegals coming into the country, Republicans can't say that they got to win on that because you're still going to have the illegals coming into the country. This is an L for the GOP, right? But see, what this really is about, it's not about securing the border, because you got to understand, there's some parts of the Republican Party, particularly the establishment, the super pro-business types, right? They don't want to secure the border, okay? So a lot of these people, they're trying to act like they want to secure the border. They're trying to gaslight you into thinking that they want to secure the border. People like Mitt Romney, when really it's more about Ukraine, right? They want to compromise with Democrats, give Democrats what they want when it comes to immigration so that they can save Ukraine, because they care much more about protecting Ukraine's borders than they do our borders, right? So that's what's happening here, because it doesn't even make sense to claim that Trump doesn't want the border closed when this dude is literally calling for the Republican governors to mobilize the National Guard, their National Guards, and send the National Guard to the border, right? I'm not sure how a guy that is supporting Texas defending his own border, despite the ruling for the Supreme Court that essentially is allowing the Biden administration to unsecure the border, like quite literally, that's what the Biden administration is trying to do. I'm not sure how you can frame Trump as the guy that don't want the border secure when Biden's actively fighting to not allow the border to be secured. Again, this is the biggest psyop and gaslighting that I've seen in a long time, okay? And it's a shame that you have some Republicans that are on board with this simply because they're more concerned about Ukraine's borders than our borders in a time where Republicans do not need to compromise on this issue of illegal immigration, because we have all the support from the American people. All they have to do is come out here and to talk about their own legislation, the Secure the Border Act. This actually secures the border, and Democrats who don't want this, they're the ones that are keeping us from securing the border. Anything less than the Secure the Border Act is a failure. Okay, you had Trump. He put this out. He says, when I was president, we had the most secure border in history. Joe Biden has surrendered our border and is aiding and abetting a massive invasion of millions of illegal immigrants into the United States. Instead of fighting to protect our country from this onslaught, Biden is unbelievably fighting to tie the hands of Governor Abbott and the state of Texas so that the invasion continues unchecked. In the face of this national security, public safety, and public health catastrophe, Texas has rightly invoked the invasion clause of the Constitution and must be given full support to repel the invasion. Yeah, this is the guy they're saying wants to keep the border open, right? The guy that's telling Texas, hey, do what you got to do. Everybody needs to do what you got to do to secure the border, right? Page 2, we encourage all willing states to deploy their guards to Texas to prevent the entry of illegals and to remove them back across the border. All Americans should support the common sense measures by Texas authorities to protect the safety, security, and sovereignty of Texas and of the American people. When I am president on day one, instead of fighting Texas, I will work hand in hand with Governor Abbott in other border states to stop the invasion, seal the border, and rapidly begin the largest domestic deportation operation in history. Those Biden has let in should not get comfortable, because they will be going home. Yeah, that's exactly what we should be doing, right? In that bill, okay, it's not a massive deportation operation. You're not going to get that. You're not going to have the border secured. Okay, the illegals will get pathways to citizenship, aka amnesty. this is not what we want, right? This is not a W for the GOP. This isn't securing the border. What Trump is calling for is actually to have the border secure. But again, you have people like Joe Scarborough running this psyop, gaslighting the American people into believing that Trump wants to keep the border open because he wants Americans to be killed. This is what they're saying on MSNBC. Again, the gaslighting here is unbelievable.
So, Willie, in Washington, of course, the big question is whether the Republicans are going to keep stabbing Ukraine in the back.
Nobody's stabbing Ukraine in the back. You know who's stabbing Ukraine in the back? The people that continue to fund a war that it seems that Ukraine isn't winning, okay? And they're losing lives, okay, to fight a war that is only being fought to try to weaken Russia, okay? When it seems like to me that what's happening over there is that Ukraine is slowly losing, okay? And eventually they're going to run out of men. They can have all the ammunition, all of the weapons, all of the vehicles, all the planes in the world, but if they don't have men to actually operate and to fly these jets, the machinery, whatever, right? It ain't gonna do them any good, right? It's not gonna do them any good at all. But again, these people are the ones that seem to want to sacrifice Ukrainians to stick it to Russia, right? This is what they want to do, okay? This is what they want to do. The best thing for Ukraine is to come to a peace agreement with Russia to stop the violence, to stop the bloodshed. That is the best thing for Ukraine. The people that are stabbing Ukraine in the back is the people that continue to support Ukraine slowly but surely losing lives and men to fight a war that they can't really win, right? Again, those are the people stabbing Ukraine in the back.
Stabbing Israel in the back and calling for open borders until Donald Trump is the president of the United States. The lead editorial in the Wall Street Journal talks about a GOP border reckoning where it says giving up on the border, a security bill, would be a self-inflicted GOP wound. President Biden would claim with cause that Republicans want border chaos as an election issue rather than solving the problem.
Yeah, so I read this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. It's trash, right? It's absolutely trash. It's absolutely garbage. The reasoning is not even logical, right? Because Biden has taken the blame for the border crisis up until now because everybody can see the night and day difference between the border policies of the Trump administration versus the Biden administration. Again, a lot of it has to do with the executive branch and their unwillingness to enforce the laws on the books, and Biden not adhering to the policies that Trump put in place to help secure the border and to prevent illegals from coming across the border, to disincentivize illegal immigration. But no. It's Trump's fault, right? If the GOP decides not to get on board with compromising with the Biden administration to essentially normalize illegal immigration, because that's what it does. You're talking about, we're going to let 5,000 people in a day. You're normalizing it, right? So again, if you don't want to normalize illegal immigration, then apparently that means that you support open borders. Again, that's essentially the argument of this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal that, again, I read, and it's trash, right? It's absolutely trash, okay?
The House funded negotiations before Christmas on the theory that Ukraine could hang on until February without a fresh weapons infusion. Now another month has passed. The U.S. is careening into a moment of growing dangers around the world. Both a tighter border and a vote for a stable Europe are in American interest. Better to act now than fail and live with the consequences. You know, they're just saying outright what a lot of Republicans were saying on the Hill yesterday, which is, this is reckless. You've got Donald Trump saying, let fentanyl flood across the border and kill Americans over the next year. Let illegal immigrants keep flooding over the border. Let's not have a solution. I mean, this whole Donald Trump idea that keeping the border open is a winner for Republicans strikes the Wall Street Journal and most sane Americans is just out, just crazy.
You know what's amazing about this? You know what's so incredible about this? They apply this argument that, Republicans or Trump not wanting to go along with this compromise with Democrats that doesn't secure the border, by the way, means that Trump wants to have Americans be killed. And he wants illegal immigration. He wants fentanyl crossing the border. But yet, Democrats refusing to get on board with the Republican Secure the Border Act is not that, right? They never use this line of argument and reasoning when it comes to Democrats' refusal to get on board with an actual bill to secure the border. Notice how they don't ever say that about Biden. They don't say, well, Biden wants illegals to flow across the border, and he wants fentanyl coming across the border. He wants Americans to be killed because of the border crisis. They never apply that argument to Biden, even though Biden has been in opposition to any of the solutions that have been presented by the GOP. Right? Now, all of a sudden, this compromise, oh, Trump, because he's against the compromise that doesn't secure the border, by the way. Oh, he doesn't want the border secure. He wants to allow illegal immigrants just to flow into the country, right? When that's what Biden's been doing the whole damn time. And people like Joe Scarborough have been silent about it. He hasn't given a damn about it. He spent more time criticizing Trump, boo-hoo-whining about Trump, than boo-hoo-whining about Biden. Now, all of a sudden, he cares about the illegals crossing the border when it comes to this silly compromise. Again, it's amazing. The gaslighting here is absolutely incredible. They think you're stupid. They think you're stupid.
It is, and it's such a revealing moment about this moment in time for the Republican Party, which is to say they have in front of them, Senate and House Republicans, a deal that if you handed it to them a couple of years ago or before Donald Trump was ever around, they would have been thrilled with. This is what they've been talking about for several years now, that this border is a problem, the border is a crisis, and now they've got something to do with it. And why?
But this is not the Republican bill. This is not the Republican bill. Again, it's amazing. This is a compromise to get money to Ukraine and Israel, right? That's what this is. This is not a serious border solution. It's not. But yet these people keep trying to pretend like this bill secures the border, but they won't name any provisions, right? Notice how they don't talk about any details of what's actually in the bill. They just says, well, the bill's going to secure the border. The bill's going to secure the border. Okay, well, what's in the bill, right? They're not going to tell you what's in the bill, because if they actually told you what's in the bill or what the planned provisions are, then people will be like, this doesn't secure the border. 5,000 illegals coming into the country doesn't secure the border. What are you talking about? Again, it's amazing.
Why are they not doing it? To protect Donald Trump. I mean, there are a few moments along the way, and this is really one of them, that just really clarify and tell you the whole story, which is, are you working on behalf of the country? Are you working on behalf of people who want to see the border crisis resolved, that they don't want drugs flooding in, that they think there should be an orderly and legal immigration system in this country? That's what you've said you wanted for generations, and now here it is, and you won't take it because Donald Trump is calling your office and telling you not to do it. And now yesterday he said publicly on his Truth Social, don't do a deal until I get there and then I'll fix everything.
Yeah. And he also said, but that being said, we need a strong, powerful, and essentially perfect border. Unless we get that, aka unless we get a better deal, then we don't need to compromise. And he's 100% right. Because politically speaking, you literally have Joe Biden trying to prevent Texas from securing the border. He's going out of his way to make sure that the border can't be secure, okay? And he's taking the blame for it politically. GOP has much better approval ratings when it comes to illegal immigration than Biden does. More people trust the GOP to secure the border than Biden. So why do you need to compromise with somebody that the American people don't agree with, right? Why would you compromise with them? You don't need to. If they want to continue to allow the border to be open because they don't want a real solution, then hey, it is what it is. It's on them. It's not on the GOP. Again, this compromise is silly. It's silly. The gaslighting is insane.
And then you have the Speaker of the House talking about how horrible the border is yesterday, how they want to impeach Mayorkas. You've got other people like Tommy Tuberville talking about fentanyl and illegal immigrants flooding across the, quote, open border. And they have a chance to close the border. They have a chance for the biggest border security bill ever. And they're the ones who are killing it. Make no mistake, Mike Johnson is killing our best chance to have a border security bill that actually works. All these Republicans doing the same, Mika. And as the Wall Street Journal said, you know, if they want to run on the platform of we hope the economy is destroyed and let's keep the border open, let them do it. They're going to lose the House. We'll lose the Senate. We'll lose the White House.
Well, add, the overturning of Roe to that. They're just going to lose. I mean, America is trying to get solutions to guns, to women's rights, and to things like this.
Border
And,
security.
I mean, it's important to both sides.
Border
It's
security. Border security, right? This is what they're claiming that they care about, except they did care about it before, right? Now, all of a sudden, they care about it. But again, notice how they don't name any provisions in the bill. What about this bill is going to secure the border besides you saying that it's going to secure the border? They don't have anything. They're not going to tell you what's in it. They're not going to tell you about the alleged provisions in it, because they told you about the provisions. Everybody would say, well, this doesn't actually secure the border, right? 5,000 illegals, that's not secure the border. But they're not going to say that. They're going to gaslight you and say, oh, well, this bill secures the border. Trust me, guys. And Trump not going along with a bill that secures the border, even though it doesn't actually really secure the border, means that Trump doesn't want the border secured, right? Again, this is insanity. It really is. Don't fall for the psyop. Okay, this bill does not secure the border. This is a compromise to send money overseas. This is gaslighting. Republicans getting on board with this would do nothing but give Democrats a win. They could go to their progressives and say, hey, we did what you guys want us to do, right? Which is to expand pathways to citizenship, to allow the illegals to come into the country, and they're going to campaign on that and say, we did that. And Republicans will not be able to campaign on securing the border because they didn't do it, right? So again, this is a L for the GOP. Get on board with this. And, I personally think that Trump is in the right here for opposing this. Anything less than the Secure the Border Act is a failure, and I stand by that. And I believe that Republicans need to double and triple down and to campaign on that and say, we want our bill or nothing. And it's not our fault that the border is not secure. It's Biden's fault that the border is not secure because he doesn't actually want to get on board with a real solution. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.